Good morning. Today is June 18th, 2017, and if you haven't done so yet, make sure you get signed up for VBS today. It starts tomorrow morning at 8:15 a.m. And if you're too old for VBS, but you still want to participate, we need some cookie makers for Friday's program. If you're interested, then please sign up in the foyer. And speaking of the program on Friday, it's going to be at 11:30, and family, friends, and the whole congregation is invited to attend. Well, the first Sunday of the month, or July, is on July 2nd. This is going to be Old Country Church Service Sunday. We're only going to have one service, and it's going to start at 10 a.m. People are encouraged to dress up like they're going to an old country church, like back in the day. Afterwards, there's going to be a picnic that the church is providing all the fixings for. They're going to have hot dogs, hamburgers, sides, and root beer floats. Like I said, they're providing all of the food, but they could still use your help. If you would like to grill, help serve the food, or help clean up afterwards, you can sign up on FRC's website under the Events tab. Sister Chicks will be viewing the sculpture walk on June 29th. Ladies, make sure that you meet at the 8th and Railroad parking lot downtown at 6:30 p.m.
Lastly, happy Father's Day for each dad. We have a little treat for you by the entrances. Look for the blue bag with a special sticker on it. Well, that's it for our news today. I'm Duncan Bowe, this is Luke Bowe, and this is Parker Bowe. And remember, on Sundays, the place to be is FRC.
Well, good morning and welcome here. Would you stand and greet somebody this morning? Sing with us this morning. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. We'll sing that again. Open the eyes. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Of my heart, I want to see you. I want to see you. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Would you pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, 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 holy. Would you open the eyes of my heart, Lord? Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Let's sing that one more time. Open the eyes of my heart. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. I want to open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you.
heart. Be the mountain where I run, the fountain I drink from. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the shadow where I hide, the ransom for my life. Oh, he is my song. You are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Let the King of my heart be the wind inside my sails, the anchor in the waves. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the fire inside my veins, the echo of my days. Oh, he is my song. You are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, you are good, good.
end, the end, the end. The Godhead three in one. Lift it up this morning. Father, Spirit, Son, the Lion and the Lamb, the Lion and the Lamb. How great is our God. Sing with me, how great is our God. And oh, we'll see how great, how great is our God. How great is our God? How great is our God? Would you sing with me? How great is our God? And oh, we'll see how great is our God. 'Cause you're the name above all names. You are worthy of our praise. Our hearts will sing how great is our God. 'Cause you're the name above all names. We say you are worthy of all praise. My heart will sing how great is our God. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art. How great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art. How great thou art. So how great is our God. Lift it up this morning.
Sing with me, how great is our God. And all will see how
great is our God. Amen. You may be seated. Our deacons will come up and receive our offering. The kids may be dismissed.
Good morning, y'all. Make sure you take your telephone out and say, Dad, you're awesome. I will tell you, my pants are kind of tight when I wear dress pants in the thighs, and so I don't put things in my pockets, and I set my telephone up here during first service. And you know when your family gets one of those like thread text messages where it's like 87 people like coming back? And so I'm trying to preach and my phone, like I forgot to turn it, keeps going And it's like, don't be, just walk over here. Just talk from over on this side. And you look over and it's like, oh, green, 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 green. And so make sure that you say Happy Father's Day to your dads. And then maybe as a way of just from my side to y'all, of the last couple weeks have been kind of crazy with my gramps dying and family coming in and funeral and all that stuff. For everybody that sent cards or called or emails or all that stuff, thank you. And for those of you that are golfers, so some memorials would go to the church because gramps, they wouldn't have been able to survive in their house the last couple years without the people from the church. But then the rest of it, all of us younger grandkids learned how to golf at Otter Valley Country Club. And so right on the 9th par 3 it's always where it gets backed up right before you go into the clubhouse. So right on the 9th hole, they're going to do a bench that has Gramps' memorial and everything on it. So if you gave a memorial dollar, then you know kind of where it goes. And it's one of those things my cousins thought of because the day of the funeral, they're like, I think we could go out there at 5:30, 6 o'clock and get a quick 9 in before the funeral. And everybody's like, no, you can't do that. And they're like, well, we're going to do it anyway. And they did, and I didn't because I was in Sioux Falls and had to drive down. But so that was really cool. And thank you all for being a part of that. One thing I will let you know is Alan Bobbledyke passed away this weekend. And most of you from Second Service probably don't know who he is, but he's an older gentleman from First Service. And one of the things with that is we'll probably have the funeral. Things are kind of still getting sorted out Thursday afternoon. So I'm looking at Alyssa and Jen over there. So go ahead and take out, use your owl version of turning your head around and look all around at this stuff. It all has to go away Thursday. And then Friday is the program, so it all has to go up before Friday morning. And then there's a wedding, so it all has to go down Friday at noon. So look around, and all of this stuff it's really kind of cool, but be in prayer for the Bobbledykes and their transition and stuff, and our transition, and the kids as they come in, that they can have a great week here where they kind of experience something more than just, hey, church daycare all week long for the first half of the day, that there can be something that kind of sinks in and some of those things. Okay, so we are nearing the end of 7. We are on week 6. That means we got 1 week left next week, and after that, one thing that I should remind y'all of, and it was in the video, is first Sundays are where we do collaborative joint services, and then we do something different, something fun. The 1st of June, we did the mission group that was all up here, how everybody went to different places and the stories that affected them and what that looks like when they come home. And now this next one, we're actually going to do I'm talking get your old knickers out, the boy kind, not the girl kind, unless you're a girl. That's okay. Y'all don't get that? Or was that that was not a good joke? Okay, well, maybe. Or your hats or your bow ties. We might even do girls on one side, boys on another side. I don't know. But we're going to do a throwback retro Sunday with grilling out and root beer floats and stuff afterwards. But old school kind of hymn sing, real kind of low key, but something that lets y'all say, Grandma, you got any cool old clothes that you used to wear to church? And then wear those, because that'll make it kind of fun, and it'll get all of us together in one spot, and then we'll have kind of a picnic outside afterwards. So keep that in mind, and that'll be the kickoff of our next series entitled Up the Mountain, or 10. It's the 10 Commandments. So we've been on this number theme, and Steve said, hey, 10 fits right before kickoff for the fall programs. Let's do that. And I was like, well, you can't really argue with how the dates all match up. Sure. So we're going to do the 10 Commandments, the journey up the mountain like Moses went up to receive them. But this week is 70 times 7, or 77. We continue working our way through the Gospels in this section, and what we're looking at is Matthew 18. So if you have a Bible, you can go there, because I'm only going to read a real short section of it, and maybe I'll pray and do that, and then we'll talk about the rest of it. So why don't you pray with me a second? Go ahead and get your Bibles out, because God doesn't mind if you do other things as long as you're being attentive. It's okay when you drive to pray, so it's okay to grab a Bible and flip through when you're praying is kind of my logic. God, I pray that you would come. I pray that you would take the busyness of the day, of the week, of the month, of the craziness of summer, and bring that stuff here and let us give it over to you. Let us give you the frustrations, the ailments, the struggles, all of those things in our lives that we just don't know how to work around or get around, and be able to come here and just take a deep breath. And may that breath fill our lungs with your Spirit, your holy wind that spoke forth the existence of all things. So Lord, here this morning, I pray that these words written so many years ago would become words that are true and fresh in our hearts and our minds. That your voice would fall like a heavenly rain into our ears, down our spine, and into our hearts, so that with every beat, you change us. Your words, your voice, the things written through Matthew would become something that is life-giving for us. In your name, amen. So I'm going to read real short, Matthew 18, just 2 verses, but if you want to look at the whole of the chapter, we're going to talk about that in a moment. Really just kind of the mid part, actually. So not the whole, I misspoke, just the mid part. Matthew 18, Peter comes to Jesus and asks, Lord, how many times shall I forgive my brother or sister who sins against me? Up to 7 times? Jesus answered him, I tell you not 7 times, but 77 times. Or the Greek translation here is 77, as in 7, or 70 times 7. It doesn't really matter. It could mean 490 for those of you mathematicians. Mr. Bo, I didn't need you this time. I can work out 7 times 7 and add in a 0 on the end. 490 times, but the point is Peter comes to him and says, how many times do I forgive? 7's a lot. Like, if you think about somebody doing something to you 7 times and 7 times over you forgive them for it, like by the 8th time do you go, dude, no, 7 is up, you're done. And Jesus says, no, more than that. I'm going to pause it. Am I cutting in and out? Is the gate on? Or is my battery dying? Check, 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 check. Check, 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 check. It sounds like a gate. So press the select button and then just turn the gate off. Maybe, there, got it? Cha-ching, we got it, okay. So, there were 3 little pigs, and they walked down the road, and my brain is completely distracted, and that's the problem when you don't write your sermons out, then you have to start all over again mentally of where you were at. Chapter 18, Peter comes to him and says 7 times, right? And he goes, no, way more than 7 times. And as you come back, you go, okay, what's the context here? So if you're looking there, just above this is when Jesus tells his disciples, this is how you handle interpersonal conflict within the church. At this time, they say, when a brother, and they only spoke in masculine language, it really means brother or sister, within the covenant family, comes to you and has wronged you. What do you do? Well, the first time is you go to them and say, hey, we got a problem. And if that doesn't work, then you go and you take a friend or two that's a part of the church, and you come and you say, hey, we got a problem, and they're just here to help us work through it. And if that doesn't work, then you go before the church and you say, hey, we got a problem. And if that doesn't work, you treat them like a Gentile or a tax collector. And now we might think, ooh, that's real bad. But the reality is think how Jesus worked with Gentiles and tax collectors. It's still with love and grace, longing for them to be a part of the covenant family, but they're somehow excluded. Within this, like this is kind of a tangential that we could maybe preach another time, is if we're real honest and you look around in your own life, you probably skip step 1. Step 1 is really the hardest, where you go straight up to the person that's really bothered you or something that you need to ask forgiveness for, and you just say, hey, we need to talk. Because that's where the awkwardness sets in. But if there's 1 or 2 people with you, so we knock off step 1 and we jump in at step 2, where we just get a few other people around us to help us out, or at least we call them on the phone or text them and say, hey, do you think this was really kind of bad? Or as long as we get a few more people in the loop, then suddenly we feel a little bit better. And by the end, Peter comes up and goes, okay, we've talked about this relationship thing, and it's about us being in a covenant family. How many times, like when do we just say enough is enough? Hey, you're gone. And Jesus says, way more than you're thinking. Now, within this, we're really talking about forgiveness. And so I have a story for you, and I'm actually going to read portions of it. Imagine an older lady in her 70s, and she's tired and sits down in her comfy recliner chair, you know, the kind that kind of hugs you, but when you sit in it, like your body kind of sinks in, and when you put the feet up, it doesn't just go up, it goes up, and then there's like the extra like click, 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 so like you can really like knock it way back there, you know? And she's sitting back and she's putting some notes together, and she's writing a few things of how the years have gone. January 28, 1987, I flew to Memphis. On January 31st, I flew back with little Kenny. February 1987, the 7th, Kay and V and Kenny all went to Cedar Rapids. Ken came home to do chores, and Kenny and V stayed. Bruce and the family got together, and we all got Kenny's birth certificates and medical records because he was staying with us. 25th of February 1987, we all left for Tennessee. Kenny stayed with us and went on to Alabama. March 1987, the 4th, back to Memphis again. Scarlett's mom, sister, brother-in-law, Whitney, and V all went to Elvis Presley's Graceland. You can't see it from out there, but I'm doing the lip thing. Just the one. It's only one side. I've been there, I know. Ken got sick after hearing Scarlett yell at his father repeatedly. All went to Little Rock in the afternoon. Lunch at her parents' house, and Scarlett said that Kenny could not eat cookies even though all of the other little nephews were. She was on one of her health kicks. His Nana said that there was some cold pizza if he wanted. Of course, Kenny kicked a chair and was sent to a bedroom. Scarlett then came out of the kitchen eating a big bowl of chocolate ice cream, to which I was upset and called her aside and was told, oh, not another lecture. 1988 was all pretty quiet. In 1989, V went to Charlotte to help Lon and Scarlett and the children move. They all moved to Johnson City. February 1st, 1989, they move into the large house on the hill. Everything seemed to be going well. October 21st, 1989, Lon called, things are not well. He said, Scarlett is not nice to Kenny, and he does not even let him eat with the other children. Sometimes he doesn't even get fed until Lon gets home from work. And she makes him work a lot. She says that there is a big chip on her shoulder, and that all in all, she treats them like a very bad word. Now, we're talking about forgiveness, and as you approach working your way through forgiveness, the question is, so what does it really mean? And the struggle here is, what do we have as preconceived notion of forgiveness? Does forgiveness involve long-term, short-term? And I'm just going to tell you straight up, in this little structured passage where Peter comes, he says, how many times do I forgive? And that word there means to let go, to release, to separate, to make an intentional division. In other places, this same exact word is used for the separation of a marriage vow, divorce. So, how many times do I let go of this thing that I'm holding on to? And after Jesus says 77 times, 490 times, a whole bunch of times, more times than you can even count is how many times you forgive, he then shares a parable. Now, the parable, if you're in one of the small groups, you'll talk about more, but the gist of it is a wealthy landowner owns a bunch of stuff. A servant comes to him, owes him a bunch of money, and says, I can't pay the money. And the landowner says, that's okay. We'll work through it. And then the servant goes out and finds another servant that owes him money and lays a whooping on him until he pays him. And the owner of the land says, wait a minute, I showed you mercy. I forgave your debt, and you didn't do anything. That's an okay story, but I thought for this morning it would be better if we actually looked at a story in which Jesus displayed forgiveness firsthand. And so this story is one that you've probably heard many, many times. And the setting is Jesus comes down in the morning from the Mount of Olives. And as the Mount of Olives comes down, the pathway leads into the temple. The way that the temple is set up is, think of a big, huge sort of rectangle, and within that rectangle are a whole bunch of smaller boxes. The middle is the Holy of Holies. There's a priestly court. There's an area where only Jewish men can go, an area where only Jewish families can go, and then an area that's called the Gentile court, in which when you hear about him driving out the money changers and those that will trade you for the holy pigeons and the right type of dollars to pay your tax and all of that stuff. So think of it as like a big farmer's market area, more, or maybe more like the food court at the mall, but everybody's cooking things out in the open and there's people all around. And what happens is the Mount of Olives comes down into this big courtyard of the Gentiles, and then there's a door on the other end. And so literally it just becomes a pathway, a shortcut for everybody, so they don't have to go all the way around the temple to get to the other side of the mount. And so people are coming and going, and all sorts of stuff is going on, and Jesus comes down with his disciples. And as soon as he gets kind of set up in the area in which he's going to be, it's almost like if you think of like a busker downtown, like playing their music, they find their little spot where they're going to be, and suddenly the Pharisees come up and they're like, Jesus, this woman is caught in adultery. What do we do? The law of Moses says that we stone her. That's what it says. What should we do? And the phrase that John uses in the chapter there is they were trying to trap him. They were trying to trick him. Now, this is kind of to the side, but if she was caught in adultery, why was there only one person? I mean, that's the first thing I think of is, okay, you caught her, then where's the dude? Like, where's the guy that needs to get rocked? He's not there. And so you can tell that it's already a little fishy. And so they're standing there and they got their rocks all ready. And they come to Jesus and they're like, the law says, get your rocks ready. Capital punishment for those that are not worthy of the budding bed. Jesus says nothing. And as the woman cowers on the ground, she knows the rocks are coming, so she's not standing up. She's laying in the fetal position in shame because she knows that they're about to hit her with things. And Jesus simply kneels down. And this is the part where you've probably heard sermon after sermon, or you could find sermon after sermon, and he draws on the ground. You know what he drew? Nope, me neither. Nobody does. It's not important. Otherwise, John would have said it was important. The point is he lowers himself down to her. If he's on the ground, they can't throw rocks at her. They can't, because they can't throw rocks at him. And so I imagine that as she lays on the ground, he kneels down to shield it. And as he draws on the ground, he eventually stands up and says, whoever's without sin can throw the first stone. And then simply kneels back down. Draws on the ground some more. And eventually the people begin to go. They begin to walk away. And so the woman that's curled on the ground, thinking that they're coming for her, she just hears the rain of rocks on the ground. Because now what? The man, Jesus, stands up and says, woman, where are your condemners? Where are those that would throw stones at you? She says, they're all gone, sir. well, then neither do I condemn you. Get up, go and sin no more. In our lives, it's really, really easy to hold the rocks. Because here's the reality. You never know when you might need them. You never know when you might have that thing that happens that you got to have some ammo in your back pocket. Or eventually those things that eat away inside of you become a part of you. And your grasp begins to hold on so tight that you couldn't even begin to let go if you wanted to. And so you hold those rocks, that ammo that you would throw at those people, the ones that wronged you, the one that did that thing to you, the ones that you've struggled with for years and years, and you begin to hold it close until eventually it hurts, but you can't let go. The thing to realize this morning is that there are struggles, there is pain, you will be wronged. There will be people that will do things to you that you don't like, and you will do things to people and you won't even know it. And sometimes you just want to hold the rocks, because what if you need them? What if that day comes, it just makes you feel a little bit more secure, and yet the only way to experience forgiveness, either giving or receiving, is to let go. Forgiveness literally means to release it. And the point that you have to get at here is, until you experience what forgiveness is from a heavenly perspective, you will never, ever, ever be able to let go of the rocks in your life. You will never be able to let go of those struggles and scars in your own journey until you begin to say, God, I'm not worthy to be forgiven, and yet you have. That woman had only one thing in her life that she was worthy of at that point, and that's a big rock, maybe multiple rocks. And Jesus said, I've taken your rocks away. Months later, he took everything. And so until you can truly begin to experience what forgiveness is, you have to understand that there is one that has forgiven you. That there is a change that has taken place that is far beyond the petty squabbles that we have, the aches and pains that we have, the things in your life that nobody knows about, that you hold on so dear, that just simply eat away at you. Dear Ken, it was really, really nice seeing you guys last weekend. I appreciate that you came to the party. The reason that I'm writing this is I want to apologize to you. Ken, whenever I see you, I feel so guilty because I could have been a better mom. When you left to go with Ken and Vera after your dad died, I was hurt and probably even angry. I guess I could have been carrying that around for a lot of years. But after thinking about the situation for a very, very long time, I realize now who could blame you. I wasn't the greatest mom to you, and for that I am so, so sorry. I feel guilty every single day because of those things in those days that I wish I could go back and change. But having said that, I want you to know that I am so proud of you guys. And we admire you both for all of the things that you have done and overcome. Love, Scarlett. Now, as family came together for my Gramps' funeral, that means everybody comes together, and the question was, is Scarlett going to come? My stepmom, the mother to my half-brothers and sister, The only mom that I really knew for the majority of my life, other than my grams. And one of my family members said, I don't know that I can ever forgive her for the things that she did. Holding that rock. And you know what? There was a day when I held the rocks too. I held them tight. You'd go, you'd be a part of things, but you'd never really let go. And the reality is all it did was hurt. Hurt me, hurt her, hurt everybody else. And eventually you have to come to that place where you go, this doesn't need to be a part of me. This doesn't need to be something that I hold on to anymore. I don't pretend to know what all of y'all have been through, the struggles that lie in your past, in the wake of your life. I don't understand some of those things even, but what I do understand and what I do know is there is one that has forgiven you beyond all measure. And until you can grasp what the weight of your oppression did to him, you will never, ever, ever appreciate what the weight of that does to the relationships you have. I'm going to invite you to pray with me, and the prayer is going to be very intentional. And I would invite every single one of you to pray it, if for the first time or the 50th time, to simply get to that place where you let go. And you let God begin to work in your life. And you begin to get to that place where you won't be held captive to the struggles. You won't be held captive to the shame or the doubts. But forgiveness would come. And you would begin to release your grasp on those things. Father, this morning I ask that you would come. I ask that you would increase our belief, increase our struggle with the reality of who you are and who we are. And I pray here in this place that you would give us forgiveness. Jesus, I ask for your forgiveness over my life, over the good, over the bad, over the things that I hold so close. And I ask for the power to begin to return that forgiveness to those in my life. So Lord, come and renew the spirit that you've granted each and every one of us. Stir in our hearts, in our minds, in our bodies, in our souls to that place where we long to find that relationship. Amen.
Would you stand and sing with us? When the mountains fall and the tempest roars, you are with me. When creation falls, still my soul will soar with your mercy. And I'll walk through the fire with my head lifted high, and my spirit revived in your story. And I'll look to the cross as my failure is lost in the light of your glorious grace. And let the ruins come to life in the beauty of your name, rising up from the ashes. God, forever you reign, and my soul will find refuge in the shadow of your wings. I will love you forever, and forever I'll sing. When the world caves in, still my hope will cling to your promise. Let my heart find strength in your presence. So I walk through the fire with my head lifted high and my spirit revived in your story. And I look to the cross as my failure is lost in the light of your glorious grace. Let the ruins come to life in the beauty of your name, rising up from the ashes. God, forever you'll reign, and my soul will find refuge in the shadow of your wings. I will love you forever, and forever I'll sing. Let the ruins come to life in the beauty of your name, rising up from the ashes. God, forever you'll reign, and my soul will find refuge in the shadow of your wings. I will love you forever, and forever I'll sing. Come to life in the beauty of your name, rising up from the ashes. God, forever you reign, and my soul will find refuge in the shadow of your name. I will love you forever, and forever I'll sing. So I walk through the fire with my head lifted high and my spirit revived in your story. And I look to the cross as my failure is lost in the light of your glorious grace. And let the ruins come to life in the beauty of your name, rising up from the ashes. God, forever you reign, and my soul will find refuge in the shadow of your wings. I will love you forever, and forever I'll sing.
And the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ and the fellowship of his Holy Spirit be with you this week.